Hello everybody, I'm Soumya Murthy. Today I'm making this video on emerging trends in agricultural technology. This would be beneficial to all the agricultural economics students. So now when we look into the technology aspect and how technology is related to agriculture, we will be seeing that agriculture and technology are trying to go hand in hand. How technology is going to help agriculture to increase our production and how we are able to, protect our crops and increase the yield at the same time. And we see that to build a better future for our farmers, new innovation is also very, very important. As we all are aware that Green Revolution helped India see a huge crop production. We at that time made use of high yielding variety seeds, fertilizers, manure, proper irrigation. So all this saw a major change in the production of wheat or huge production of wheat. So the modern farming methods are now becoming, very technologically advanced, and people are making use of this. And at the same time, this is also providing us with sustainable way of farming. So it is not just that you use technology and try to increase your production. At the same time, we plan and aim to keep and preserve our soil fertility. And we also want to keep our climate good. We don't want to spoil our environment. No need to create pollutions. So all this has to be kept in mind when you're also planning for changes in technology. And at the same time, we see that many researchers and biotechnologists have also given some innovative ideas to improve agricultural practices. And in the modern agriculture, as we are facing many challenges, we see that the climate has to be kept in mind. As I said, we don't want to spoil our climate, and the consumer tastes are changing. So consumers are demanding variety of food and crops which were not there earlier. So the farmer has to provide these new crops which are demanded by the consumers. Investments are changing. Now people are ready to invest in terms of vertical farming. People are ready to invest in terms of hydroponics, where you use only water and nutrients, and livestock greenhouse practices, etc. So we see that we are trying to make the farmer's life more, trying to help the farmers to produce more at the same time using more of technology. So when we see what is Indo vertical farming, basically this is something which has become very common in urban areas and cities. This is basically a practice of growing your crops, or maybe things like your greens and others which are able to grow on a vertical stack. That is, we try to keep one box on the other, and it is on the vertical level that we try to produce our products. It is stacking one above the other, so it's vertically taking your place. So this could be in a very closed environment. Now the advantage of this is that we will be using very less place, so we are not using our ground level soil to make use of the produce. We are using the vertical space that is available. So this is going to reduce the amount of land that we needed to grow plants, comparing it to the traditional farming methods. So this has become very popular in urban areas and cities. So again, we find that this is very unique so that we can grow crops, and we also have a method called as hydrophonic. So as I was discussing, we have just water, and you have your greens, and you have some sprays, like you have your nutrients that is sufficient to grow your crops. So usually what happens is you just take a bowl and you have water and you place your coriander or your mint or your pudinas and these water bowls, and you can see that there is a lot of you know growth happening in few weeks, and you're just spraying some nutrients to it. So this is basically hydroponics, which has become very popular. And when the plant's roots are systematically sprayed with water and nutrients, the plants keeps growing. And they use, since it is indoor, or you can make use of your indoor and as an environment to grow these, they are also using the artificial lights instead of the normal sunlight that is regularly utilized. So when we move on to farm automation, we see that drones are very commonly used in as an aerial vehicle. We see that used in defense. We see that that is being used for photography, and people or kids have been using it as a sporting item. But we see that it is not just a toy. This can again be used for agriculture. So this is like, as we know, drone is a unmanned aerial vehicle which will be equipped with sensors and thermal cameras. So now what we can do for agriculture is we can make these drones fly over the fields, and they will monitor the condition of the crops. Since they have these sensors in them embedded in it, and they also have the cameras to capture, what happens is once they fly over our crops, they can catch the uh, growth that is happening in the farmland area, and they'll be able to monitor the conditions of the crops. So this kind of farming usually deals with smart farming, so we can get accurate information about the soil condition, the crops condition, and soil erosion, or do we need to control pests, etc. And at the same time, we see that there is, when we try to do all this in terms of manually going to the fields and trying to get the information, it would take a lot of time. So there is a lot of time savings that we can do by using drones. So when we see the use of technology, like when the farms are using drones, they're using, tractors or water seeding robots, we see that the farms have become more efficient and they're automating this crop, and it is also helping the livestock production cycle. So many traditional agricultural companies are now using automation process. So whether it's cleaning aspects or whether making use of proper water supply and channelizing it, they are into, automation. So the government of India has also announced to support use of these technologies like drones and other things to help the farmers. So moving on to livestock farming, the traditional livestock industry is providing renewable natural resources that we rely on every day. So this usually consists of poultry farms, dairy farms. So this technology can increase the productive capacity to well, and we can also check the welfare of the animals and the livestock. So as we were discussing, when it is done manually, it is taking a lot of time consumption is there, and you need to employ many people. Now by using these technologies, there is very less time consumption and more accurate data can be collected. So when we move on to artificial intelligence, the use of remote sensors, satellites, UAV vans gather information 24 hours per day over our entire field. So our entire stretch of land is covered by these artificial intelligence. So when we make use of this, we can monitor the health or the soil conditions, the temperature, humidity, etc. So this would allow the farmer to understand the ground situation. So when you're using these remote sensors, they're able to tell you what exactly is the ground situation. So they're reading it more accurately, which we could not have done by using our natural eye. So this would add as an advantage to the farmers, because once they know what is your soil condition or what is your temperature or humidity, adjustments can be made accordingly and they can do the variations and try to improve the crops. So moving on to crop sensors. Crop sensors provides data which helps in applying fertilizers in a very effective manner. So the sensors check how your crop is feeling and reduce the potential leaching and the runoff into groundwater. So again, this is something which is able to sense the crops, so which will be more effective. Moving on to climate management, we should try to reduce the risks of watershed management by using effective or proper water management systems. Now, adopting the things which would raise the temperature, or what problems we have when we facing droughts, or when you get these warning signs, how can we reduce the loss incurred by the weather changes and damages is very, very important. So you get these signals, there is a weather change happening, you're getting the weather report. How we handle it is going to be very, very important. And we see that the farm associations also are being formed and they are being encouraged by the government also. So this would provide support services. So when you are organized as a group, you can go together to your markets, fend for yourself, ask them for better money, or you can ask for a better price collectively. You have collective bargaining happening, and they also will provide you with finance, and they help you in terms of insurance, etc. So this would be an added advantage to our farmers when they organize themselves together, because they all come under the unorganized sector. So coming to the use of mobile technology in agriculture. So mobile technology has become very important part in controlling and monitoring the cropping systems. So we use a smartphone, and a farmer here, is able to control their irrigation systems from the phone or the computer with which he is linked to the fields. And so there are certain apps basically which are helping the farmers to get the first hand information. So he can even call to the call centers and get any information or clarification that he would like to take. And when we move to the yield assessment, we see that in this process, the mobile data will provide the data to take decisions. So for example, the government is using this to assess the crop production forecast. So this would prepare policy measures if the crop needs to be imported in case of a shortfall, or exported when there is a surplus. So when you have your data is in store, what we do is you can analyze it. So what is happening to your crops? So suppose there is a shortfall, or there is a reduction in the crops, or there is shortages, then the government can plan to import it and get the crops from outside. Suppose you have the data analysis which shows you that you're going to have a bumper crop or excess of production, they can even plan for a surplus. So they can make these policy changes according to the information they are able to gather. At the same time, the yield assessment app will also help in remote sensing the technology to timely forecast accurate crop estimates at the farm. So this app will capture the video and the GPS, coordinates an assessment area, and it uses the remote sensing technology. So it's hand in glove, wherein you're using your technology to help to make policy matters, at the same time helping the farmer to help him increase the production or use the right technology. So we may conclude that technology is not acting as a hindrance to the farmers, because this is helping the farmers very much, because they are making use of certain technologies, not that they are something which a farmer is not able to handle or use. It is not very strange that he feels scared to use them. It is very common technology that he can use, because he's using his mobile and people are comfortable and they know about drones, and things like this are not something strange that he feels scared to implement. And we also see that recently, when the crops were attacked by the locust, the Rajasthani farmers basically were made to use drones, and which were used to shield the agricultural produce. So there are a lot of advantages when we are able to make use of technology in a right way, in a right amount, when we are able to use it for the farmers. It's only the small policy changes needed by the government wherein they can give a helping hand to the farmers, because once they're able to practically provide this information and knowledge and share it to the farmers, they would be more than happy to use it, because that can increase their productivity. You're giving the ground report, you're telling how your ground is, what your soil is made up of, how it is your fertility. So this is adding as an advantage to the farmer. So he would more than benefit from it. So the government should plan to implement these of using GPS to assess yield, or making use of drones, or making use of mobile apps, or making use of any technology that would help our farmers. So let's summarize as to what we discussed in the video today. We basically discussed about the agriculture and the technology that is helping agriculture. So we saw how the crop sensors are telling us about the details of the crops. We discussed about Indo vertical farming. We discussed about mobile technology. We also discussed about the artificial intelligence which can be used and which is being used by the farmers. So all these have actually helped the farmers a lot, and they're benefited by this. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. It gave me an immense pleasure to make this video. Thank you.